Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guru Nation Power Hour, week 16, baby. My apologies if it was delayed. Guru Nation, what it do, everybody? The Power Hour is launched into space. We had a little rough launch there, but we got it going now. Appreciate everyone that's tapped in with us here this evening. It's fine Tuesday evening. We're going to talk all things NFL. Kirk Cousins was benched, y'all. Derek Carr is out. Jameis Winston was benched. We got all kind of QB carousel musical chairs going on, which I guess I can't say is too shocking for this time of year. A lot of times, guys, teams make business decisions with veterans and stuff at this time of year. But we'll talk all about that. And we'll also have Week 16 waiver wire ads with Bogart Scott-Free. We'll have Bogey on in just a sec. And then about halfway through the show, we're going to have our Saints talk with our returning guest, Charlie Long from WWL Radio here in New Orleans. He's going to have all the latest scoop on our New Orleans Saints, as well as some humble opinions. We have the In My Humble Opinion segment to close it out. We're going to give some hot but humble takes. So strap in, y'all. It's about to be a good one. Antonio, our first homie up in the chat. What up, bro? Appreciate you, Antonio. So y'all strap in, crack open a cold one. It's going to be a fun show, y'all. We'll play this little intro thing and get right into it. Guru Nation. All right, we are rocking and rolling. King D, what up, King D? Appreciate you tapping in, bro. King D, one of our loyal Guru Nation Power Hour listeners. Couldn't do it without him, as well as everybody else up in here. So, yeah, I guess to start off, we won't beat around the bush any longer. We'll just get right into it. Kirk Cousins has been benched. Michael Penix is in, y'all. The Rook, Michael Penix, is the Falcons starting quarterback. What a disaster it is in Atlanta. I mean, this team is a dumpster fire, y'all. This is a disaster unlike any I've ever seen, but this is definitely one of the biggest disasters I can remember, considering how good they started. They started off very solid. It looked like everything was rolling there. They were trending up. Kirk Cousins had gotten his feet under him. He started off a little slow, but by the midpoint of the season, we were thinking that this Falcons team was for sure going to win the division and maybe could win a playoff game. But boy, has the script flipped here the past few weeks. The Tampa Bay Bucks have been rolling, y'all. Bucks, I believe, have won their last 4. My Saints still not doing too hot. And in Carolina in the cellar, forever NFC South cellar dwellers, it seems. Man, the Carolina Panthers suck. But the Falcons, man, as far as a team that always seems to have expectations and never lives up to them, man. My gosh, this team just, sorry to Ron and all the Falcons fans out there. You guys have, man, I don't know who has it rougher right now, Saints or Falcons. At least the Saints didn't really have many expectations heading into this season. It was kind of like, if you sneak in the playoffs, whatever, probably not going to have a winning season. Where at the Falcons, though, it was like, you expected to do stuff. I mean, you paid Kirk Cousins all this money, and now you're basically admitting that you made $100 million mistake. I mean, his contract was even worse than Derek Carr's. And I mean, Carr's contract was nothing special, but man, this is just a total disaster, y'all. This is unbelievable. This is just totally embarrassing on the Falcons' part. And we were just talking with Charlie before the show, and it sounds like this is an author blank decision here. This screams that ownership came in and was like, look, like we've got to shake things up here if we want to have any sort of chance, which I guess he's got a point. I mean, because this is a stat that's pretty damning. The last 5 games, y'all, and I had to check this twice to confirm it, but it is real. This is not fake news. This is really how bad Kirk Cousins has been over the past 5 games played. 1 touchdown to not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, but 9 interceptions. He has been picked off 9 times and only thrown 1 touchdown. He had a game, I believe, against the Vikings where he threw 4 picks and had no touchdowns. And he went like multiple weeks with no touchdowns. I mean, what is going on with this? I mean, this is crazy. I still think they made their own decision here. I feel like when you got a veteran like Kirk Cousins, you got to stick it out. Especially if you paid him all this money. You still got a chance at the division. I really don't see a rookie coming in and being the savior. Maybe the kid will prove me wrong, but I think this is kind of a disservice to Michael Penix. This is not what you want to see if you're a Falcons fan, in my humble opinion. I mean, my first humble opinion of the night. We're going to have more humble opinions later on, but I just feel like this has the potential to really hurt this kid's development. To me, you wanted to have this kid sit the bench the whole season and actually learn under Kirk Cousins. To me, this is reeking of desperation. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I know why they're doing it. They're desperate. I mean, they're trying anything they can, but I just feel like this was a little too reckless. When you got a guy like Kirk Cousins that has all the experience he's got, you got to stick it out to me, but they don't think so. They're moving on. Raheem Morris back to decision, saying that this was a football decision. At first, I was thinking, wait, is this some clause in Kirk Cousins' contract, some injury clause, which maybe there is. Maybe that has something to do with it, but they act like it's a pure football decision. I mean, they are still in contention. Normally, you don't see teams bench a veteran unless they're just out of it, but this seems to be a decision that they decided on, and they obviously are gonna give the kid his chance. Michael Penix, he is fairly old for a rookie though, so maybe he won't do terrible. He did have a lot of college experience, but had a lot of injuries in college, but then had the big year last year with the Washington Huskies, and a lot of guys balled out from that team. Jalen McMillan been balling out for the Bucks, and Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, and they got some guys on that Huskies team last year. Their OC from last year, now the Seahawks play caller. So, yeah, I mean, it was a legit deal last year. So we'll see what Penix can do. He's got Drizzy, Drake London to throw to, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, Bijan. He's got some weapons. So we'll see what Zach Robinson can do. But, man, I think this Falcons issue is kind of a Zach Robinson issue. I think they figured him out. Defenses have. It definitely doesn't appear to be the second coming of Sean McVay, that's for sure. At least they don't have him as bad as the Jets. Oh, no, he's sucking. And y'all don't know how to tank, Antonio. Y'all lose all those games. And then y'all beat the Jags. Like, y'all can't do anything right, man. Yeah, I feel bad for you, bro. The Jets, that's a bad situation, my brother. What up, Peacock? Shout out to Neon Peacock. Head on over to neonpeacockmerch.com for all your T-shirt needs and other cool design needs. He's got it all up there on his website. Got a sale going on over there. Check that out. Get that while it lasts here. Get y'all's merch for the holidays. At least penis. I guess that's a typo there. Or maybe he intended, or maybe he was just making fun of Penix's name there. Gets the Giants in his first game. Yeah, if he doesn't win that, boy, are they going to draft him. They could have just drafted him, right? Yeah, why did they sign Kirk Cousins? Well, I'll tell you why they did. Because they're a desperate organization. Arthur Blank's a desperate owner. He makes reckless decisions. Same with the Jets and Woody Johnson. Desperate owners make dumb decisions more times than not. Those are probably the two most desperate owners in the NFL. Every offseason, they take some big swing, and it never seems to work out. But let's see what Bogey thinks of all this. We're going to have waivers talk right after this, but I want to get Bogey's thoughts here. Going to give some early humble opinions. What's happening, B? What's happening? This is crazy. And Kirko Chains has been benched. Not just like kind of, there weren't even any rumblings of this prior to this. There wasn't any rumors or anything there. It just straight up.
What alarmed me is like, okay, he was looking bad for a long time. You know what I mean? This Corky Kirk, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, but you don't hear nothing about Michael Penix like wowing people in practice. You don't hear none of that either. So I'm like, oh, that's probably why they just keep rolling out Kirk and they're still in it. And like you said, I mean, maybe it's some of the higher ups came down. It's like, man, let's see what we got with Brad. You know what I mean? And Kirk Cousins doesn't have a no trade clause because his, when he was with the Vikings, that was always something he made sure of. So maybe they're just like, all right, Let's get him in here against
Phillip?
these Giants, where Penix should. I think Penix, even I've never seen Penix on the NFL. Obviously, none of us. Probably will play better than Kirk has looked, especially against this Giants defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, let me see their schedule here down the stretch. They've got the Giants, Commandos, and Carolina.
So even the Commandos haven't been, super well beaters. They're great. They're great pass rush. You know what I mean? And that helps their secondary because their secondary gets a bunch of disrupted balls thrown their way. Lattimore. I mean, he made his first appearance, right? But yeah, I'm not really technically scared of them outside of maybe their pass rush. And then Carolina, they kind of give it up on the ground hella crazy. So it can be just and I think with the rookie there, they're going to lean on the running backs, plural, which is kind of annoying because I feel like if it's working, they're going to lean on both of them. And rookies tend to go in there and kind of lean on tight ends too. And I'm not telling nobody, hey, trust Kyle Pitts here. I hope it doesn't. I hope London doesn't become some fucking decoy to help take away better coverage. Well, because I do worry about the rookie going in there.
What up, Derek?
His first game. What up, Derek? But it's a good thing for him. It's against these Giants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he gave him a good chance. King D's humble opinion. He said they should have started Penix 4 weeks ago.
Whew, yeah. See, that's what I was saying too. Like, but all year we haven't really heard nothing about Penix. At least maybe
I know this came really just out of left field. I'm surprised, really surprised at this. Like, I guess in conclusion, I'm more just surprised than anything. Now that I'm kind of catching my head and looking at the numbers, maybe this actually makes sense. But I just feel like when you got a veteran like this, I mean, this would be a good get right spot for him. I feel like, all right. Well, they almost lost to the Raiders. I guess that kind of played into it. I guess they figure, well, we can't risk losing to the Giants with this fool, so we're gonna switch it up. But
I've heard people say in this past month, I've heard people say things like, "Man, you see that Falcons game? That was one of the worst QB performances I've ever seen in my life." And I'm like, "In your life?" You know what I mean?
Like, he's looked really bad, apparently, especially that 4 interception how he's been
described. And I go back and watch the joint, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty bad."
Yeah, maybe. I guess it's one of those things where sometimes
it matches the stats. It looks
on the outside. I'll admit this. Sometimes on the outside, especially like with me, I'm born with I've studied the Saints way more than any other team, so it's one of those things where like I know what's going on with the Saints pretty well, but other teams, I'm like. I kind of generalize, and when they make big decisions, I guess I'm like, damn, for real? But then I feel like people on the inside are probably like, yeah, we saw this coming. So I still do. It's like, man, when you got a guy like Kirk Cousins, I know he's looked really bad, but he's just got such a track record of success to where
I mean, okay, when I saw that Raiders matchup coming up, right, against for the Falcons last night, right, in the week preparation, I was like, all right, well, on paper, this should be for him. Then there's no Max Crosby. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, King D say lost his velocity. Okay, yeah, maybe he's declined. Yeah. Just like maybe that Achilles.
I am a doctor.
Never really healed. Yeah, Dr. Bogenheimer.
I am a doctor. You know what I mean? So I will say, like, it was his plant foot, right? For Cousins. It was his right leg. It was his right leg.
I believe so. I forgot.
Versus I think Rodgers, it was the foot that he steps into. I might have it flip flop, but I'm just saying that could have something to do with it here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Rodgers. I know Rodgers did pretty good last week, but hell, he's facing the Jags, so it's like he ain't been good either this year. So
yeah, I mean, because you know what's crazy is where we're used to seeing Rodgers throw the ball like 25 to 30 times with extreme efficiency, and that's what his career's been. But the last couple of years, it's like to get fantasy production out of him, we need him throwing that ball like 40 times. We've seen that the last couple of weeks with Rodgers, which is dope because it's like, fuck Rodgers. You know what I mean? Do something for us.
Yeah, at least Devontae Adams been doing something for us. Let's see what Mike Android has to say. What up, Mike?
What up, Mike Android?
Yeah, I'm wondering about either Tua, Jared Goff, Cooper Rush, or dare I say, Michael Penix.
No, Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go golf. I
guess
know it's at Chicago, but no, I looked at the early weather. The early weather isn't bad. So
yeah, I mean, because like I think people are making a big deal of Jared Goff playing indoors most of the time this year, and like and but his outdoor splits haven't been the worst like his career was in this past 2 years. You know what I mean? He's been okay outside. He's just he does average like 28 regular fantasy points at home. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so he might not be quite as good, but I'm just like, man, Tua, the way they've been looking, I don't trust Tua.
Playing the Niners.
Yeah, Niners. I mean, they just shut Staffy down. So like, yeah,
I would say the rain and divisional and short week. I can make a bunch of excuses. I mean, because then at the same time, Puka still went crazy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tua would be the other one I'd consider. They're definitely not Cooper Rush. I know he threw 3 touchdowns last week and gets a favorable matchup against Tampa, but I don't trust him this week.
He just shredded them up like 2 weeks ago inside, or like 2 weeks of Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he kind of shredded last week. So yeah, I mean to me, I'd go golf because without Monty,
I was talking about golf because on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, without Monty, like they're gonna probably have to throw it a little more. So I'd still go golf.
Oh man,
Penix, man, that's gonna be an ugly game. Probably, I wouldn't trust Penix in his first start. I don't think they're gonna unleash him. It's gonna be a lot of Bijan.
It's a good matchup for Bijan too. They've been giving up the most 10-yard gashes that Giants defense has been. This has been not even a trend. It's like a way of life over there all year for the Giants. They're just giving up mad booty on the ground, big plays.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think Penix gonna have to be asked to do too much. And crazy round 1 for sure. Peacock. I somehow got out of it with 8 of 13 teams still alive, so I'm pleased with that. Only had 2 get eliminated.
I had 12 in it this week that were like that I had to play.
Mm-hmm.
And only 5 of them made up out there. So you know what I mean?
Oh shit, man.
Yeah. So out of
26, bloody.
Yeah, out of 26 leagues, I have 9 that are in this upcoming round. So hoping we got 9 shots at the big chipper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully I still got 8.
Going.
I still got 8 shots, so I'll take that. Hopefully, I can get at least 4 of them things. So
yeah, we're gonna empty the clip. You know what I mean?
100%. So speaking of waivers, for those that need a QB or in super flex, if you just lost Kirk Cousins, just kind of go over some names here for single QB. Man, I think Caleb Williams could have a pretty good game against Detroit. Detroit's defense is really banged up. He's at home. I know the weather could be a factor, but most likely won't be. The early forecast showing the Chicago weather this weekend won't be a disaster. So thinking for single QB, Caleb Williams could be a pretty good ad. For super flex, Mason Rudolph, y'all. Will Levis is being benched. So Mason Rudolph, definitely one to keep an eye on. They're going against the Colts. I'll take Rudolph. Has a pretty good
racist Rudolph. You mean?
Oh yeah. I can't forget. You never forget. His infamous moment on what was that Thursday Night Football? I think
it was all out brawl, man. You know what I mean? If a dude's swinging a helmet at you, you know what I mean?
He must have said something kind of fucked up, but yep. So we'll racist Rudolph going against the Colts, So we'll forgive his sin there and start him in super flex. I feel like he's a good super flex play. Another good super flex, man. The Rattler Snake, Spencer Rattler.
Is he getting the shot here?
He's getting the shot. Yeah, Hayner sucked, so they're giving it to the Rattler Snake, man, against Green Bay on Monday night, prime time.
I will say too, Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean?
Oh, for single QB,
yeah.
Against the Rams. God, it's just Aaron Rodgers sucks. I'd almost rather Matt Stafford.
Here's the thing, though, it's like their inability to get the run going for all.
Yeah,
they're just throwing that shit.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is killing it. So.
Like what the fuck? They're just throwing that shit. You know what I mean?
God, man, that's just. Oh, and there's another one for Superflex going against the crappy Bengals. Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Just fucking go. They just made Cooper Rush look like he knows what he's talking about.
That's what I'm saying, man. They got a lot of QB. Aiden O'Connell, bro. Aiden O'Connell and Mac Jones, Raiders, Jags. That could be a fantasy-friendly game.
DFS smash plays right there.
They'll be hella cheap in DFS. The Jags are the 32nd ranked team against opposing QBs. Man, I kind of like AOC in this spot.
Yeah, and Mac Jones too. I'm pretty sure Mac Jones is like, he was like 90% available. I think he's like 10% owned or something like that. So it's like, because probably the super flex teams that are out there. But yeah, so Mac Jones, I'm not mad at that either, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a deeper league, that's shit you might be considering here, as if you had. And then it doesn't look like we're gonna be without Mahomes either. So you know what I mean? Because I think
you don't have to worry about Carson Wentz.
Yeah, because if you're in it with Mahomes, you this
gotta
is probably
stick
the
with
options
Mahomes,
you're looking at right here. I mean, what other QBs maybe you have? Maybe you're thugging it with minus Derek Carr, and you're looking at some of these options. So.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Rattler. Yeah, I mentioned Rattler, Rudolph.
This might be more
O'Connell,
for
Mac Jones.
These are all super flex plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm forgetting one now that they had one that I'm forgetting. Yeah, DTR. There it is. DTR. Yep. I think that's it as far as.
I will say, if you were limping into
Sam the Wolf Howell, Geno.
Oh yeah, the Wolf.
Yep. Sam the Wolf Howell. If Geno Smith.
That one is like, it might be a big iffy too, because like I don't know if Geno is actually going to miss.
Yeah, it's up in the air with Geno. What Justin Herbert questionable?
Yeah,
but he's
gonna go. Yeah, he got to get up for this game.
Yeah, he's gonna go.
He beat up going into last week too, so.
Yeah, he's gonna go. He's been beat up all year, so. But yeah, we got a big list of quarterbacks there for y'all. So.
Yeah, and if you're limping into this round 16 in a super flex redraft, maybe even super flex dynasty, like some of these guys might just answered your prayers to the fantasy gods. You're like, I need a QB just somehow, and all of a sudden we had some options here.
DTR, baby. Rattler, bro. DTR, Rattler, Penix, AOC, Mac Jones.
Penix is not available in these dynasties, but these
redrafts he is.
Yeah, redraft for Shelly.
Right. Yeah, for those that haven't been dynasty, you got blessed. What up, Albert? Albert, man. A loyal listener. What up, Al?
What's good with it?
Yep. But yeah, running backs now. Let's move on to RBs. Tajay Spears, man. Tajay Spears broke out last week. He was very involved with old Rudolph there. And I tell you what, I think he's worth an ad in those shallower leagues. Like, he's not going to be available in any deep dynasties, but for those in shallower redrafts, Tajay Spears, definitely worth a look.
And I think this is a game the Colts could win. And that's the kind of game script that we want for Tajay Spears, because like, the big games that Pasta had this year, they were in those games. You know what I mean? And Tony Pasta, like, he definitely needed like a positive game script or like a back and forth type of affair where they're in this game. Otherwise, it would just be all Tajay. So I do like that Tony Pasta's banked up, and if you're in a pinch, Tajay it should be readily available here. You know what I mean?
Yep. Same with Jerome Ford. It looks like Nick Chubb's out for the year. Yeah, he is broken foot. So. Yeah, Jerome Ford, man. I know, man. Pour one out for Chubb, man. He was a warrior coming back from that terrible knee injury and just more bad luck with the foot. Just, man, I got to wonder if his days are numbered in the NFL. Just so many bad major injuries. But Jerome Ford, for the short term, is definitely worth a look.
I can see Nick Chubb ending up with a team, because we're as a secondary option. Like, I could totally see Nick Chubb like with let's say with Green Bay, like if they don't, you know what I mean?
If they finally get rid of AJ Dillon, because AJ Dillon's still in their roster. He's just been on IR.
All right, Chubb, when we need you, close the games out. You know what I mean? Because he's still, it is unfortunate to get that injury late, and you know what I mean, he was kind of the last of the Mohicans as far as the running backs getting paid, where they kind of paused it for a while, because then obviously Saquon and Derrick Henry, you know what I mean, they're showing, and even Joe Mixon. Well, I guess Joe Mixon, they
Josh Jacobs,
but they all have 1 year deals right now, but except for what? Oh, actually, it's not Saquon, huh? Saquon got extended. Is that what that was?
No, he never got an extension. His first contract was with the Eagles.
Yeah, so it's for the 2 years.
Yeah, but I think did he play a year? No, I don't think he played a year on the tag as his 5th year option. He played a year on the 5th year option.
Yeah, then the franchise.
Did he play on the franchise?
Yeah, well, it was a franchise.
1 year on the franchise.
He refused to sign the franchise, so they gave him 1 year deal that was worth.
Oh yeah. They had the fifth. He played 6 years
11.
with the Giants. Yeah, so he did the 1 year deal, and then he got his free agent bag with the Eagles.
Yeah. Okay. So he's there for a few years, and then with Derrick Henry, and then they just traded for his.
Yeah, he got an extension. Yeah, he had gotten an extension with the Titans, I believe, and then he then it ran out, and then he became a free agent and signed with Baltimore.
Word, that's right. He was okay.
Yeah, he was all. Yeah, remember this offseason was crazy. They had Mixon was a trade, but all the other ones I think were free agents. Jacobs, Barkley, Henry were definitely all free agents.
You know what's funny?
Swift, Pasta, yeah, those are all free agents too. This is a crazy offseason for running backs.
Yeah, and even this year too, when we're talking about all these shitty quarterbacks, right, or all these backups that are getting opportunities that were former starters, like a Mac Jones, guys like that. Like, if there isn't too many rookies at QBs next year that get drafted, it's like, yeah, we're gonna see a tremendous retread quarterback carousel again. You know what I mean? Like, Jameis might be somewhere, Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins.
Oh god! Oh yeah, Kirk Cousins. Someone will probably take Kirk Cousins.
For sure.
Jets, if Aaron Rodgers retires, in the Jets, like, all right, let's get another Achilles quarterback.
Then that's crazy too. Even Aaron, I forgot about him too. He might.
He might. Yeah, if he doesn't retire, he might go somewhere else.
Yeah,
he's gonna go to the Vikings. He's gonna go full Brett Favre.
Sam
Darnold might move somewhere. Yeah, if the Vikings let him go, because they got JJ McCarthy. They might not want to pay Darnold.
Dumbass over there.
Yep. Daniel Jones there. Yep. So I could see Darnold. Maybe Darnold might go to Tennessee, bro, because like Tennessee, they gave up on Will Levis. They're gonna want somebody over there.
Tennessee does have
PB and waivers. What up, PB and waivers? They Kirk to Tennessee.
Yeah, they have it's the Callahans over there. You know what I mean? They spent time with Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Obviously in Cincy for a long time. But my point is they were under Zach Taylor. So there could be some nuances to that offense that are similar to what because Sam Darnold's been he's been kind of jumping around the Shanahan tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's with KOC right now. That's a branch off the Shanahan tree because he's a branch from McVay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, any deep league running back ads? I'm thinking maybe Kendre Miller, man, especially with Alvin Kamara banged up.
Kendre Miller,
Killer Miller.
Yeah, the one thing I worry about that is just like the point total that they're giving that game. They're getting things like 40 or something. So it's like, we're probably. I hope the Rattler makes it some type of game, and you got them talking about, possibly bringing back Olave. They're talking about Olave want to come back, and it's kind of crazy because they're not exactly mathematically eliminated. So it's like, they're trying to win this game.
Not quite. Yeah, we're not quite out.
Talk about Carr contracts, but
Carr's done. Carr's cooked. I'm pretty sure we can ask Charlie about that, but I'm pretty sure Carr's done for the year, from what I heard.
Good.
It's gonna be. It looks like the Rattler snake the rest of the year. Because they're saying Ian Rappaport reported that Carr is unlikely to return.
Good. Keep him away.
Keep him away. I feel like a lot of Saints fans share your opinion on that, your humble opinion.
I'm really upset with Derek Carr because I always historically just curve Derek Carr because fuck him. But then all of a sudden I have him in one of my high stakes leagues, and I don't have him now. In a super flex.
Oh man,
I'm the number 1 seed. I'm coming off the bye week, and I pretty much just been doing it with 1 QB all year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Baker, right? That's your league with Baker.
Now I'm gonna try to get Rattler, hopefully, or like Howell or one of these motherfuckers. But I'm
yeah. Oh yeah. Howell's another one. Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah,
speaking of options,
go away, Gino.
Yeah, all options are on the table according to Darren Rizzi as far as Olave. But unlikely. It's probably unlikely. But yeah, you never know. I guess if he clears protocol, it's possible.
Is it legit like it's you guys still have a percentage chance, right? But
it's like I think it's like less than 1%.
Oh,
okay. It's really low.
Like
it's real. It's ridiculous. It would take all kind of weird shit to happen. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the thing where it's like, yeah, it's one of the things like, she ain't gonna text you back, but you know what? I'll send it anyway. What do I have to lose?
Come on.
Shooter's goal, shoot. Yep. Cowboys aren't eliminated yet either. Yep. Cowboys, Niners. Yeah, that's the team's hanging on.
I know. I don't know what the hell. Like, see, I know reality. We're out of it.
Right. Yeah. Same with Dallas. It's like, sorry, Tino, Derek, y'all out of it.
See, they don't want to win either. Like, the fuck is going on? They're like, they're actually realists. Except for every time they say it's our year. I mean, they're just.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's really hard for them to not say that. Like, it's like addicted. Like, they're like addicted to saying that.
Every June, I feel like it's just they drink Jerry's Kool-Aid.
I mean, shit, every New Year's, it's like 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, it's our year. You just hear them, you hear the Cowboy fans saying that over Happy New Year.
Oh, shit.
It's our year.
Shut up, man. Shut up. Y'all are so dumb. But anyway, receivers, Romeo Doubs, definitely worth a pickup in shallower leagues. Same with Cedric Tillman. Probably not going to be available in your deep degenerate leagues, but for those in your shallow, kind of casual redrafts, like those are definitely ones to look at.
Yeah, and as it stands too, it'd be like Cam Taylor-Britt, who's their the Bengals best corner.
Yeah, they've been terrible against the
pass. He would be on Judy, I'm sure. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I do like some in there. It's tough if you got to be in a real bad spot here to be like, yeah, I'm throwing in Tillman. I mean, maybe you lost the running back, right? Like your third running back or something.
Although, yeah, it's no more Jameis, so yeah, that hurts. Yeah. I was thinking it was Jameis still, but yeah,
I was gonna go back to it though. Is Tillman and DTR, they were the same class, and they were like the preseason darlings. Like there's, he loved bombing Tillman, so. I mean, there is some, I remember these little things that might not mean anything, but
they could.
And what's funny is we're so enamored with Tillman, right? But we really only had but 2 games, I mean, in his career even that was notable, and that was this year. So
yeah, but this is the one, y'all. This is the one for deeper league, man. Jalen McMillan is the one to add, y'all.
Yeah, we had him as the pickup this last 2 weeks even. Just because early on when Godwin went down, I thought he was going to play the Godwin role. But then Mike Evans goes down. Then they try to make him play out wide. And now he was drawing the number 1 coverage. And it just was Otten all day. You know what I mean?
Yep, all Otten.
Then Mike Evans comes back. And it's definitely hurt Otten. I mean, I think the past couple weeks we're looking at.
Right, yeah, it's all McMillan and Evans. Yep.
Targets. Yeah, so we've seen the emergence of McMillan. He would be my number 1 pickup here if he's available.
Good deal. And real quick before we get to Charlie, we have our tight ends. It's one of them deals where, yeah, if you lost Evan Ingram, what's the other boy over there? Brenton Strange. He had a big game.
Strange.
Yep, definitely worth a look. It's the Raiders this week. Terrible against opposing tight ends.
There you go. Unless your name's Cowpits, right?
Yeah, well, he really sucks. And that's really about it. There's not a whole lot to like at tight end. Maybe Juwanna Man Johnson.
Smart with 2 T's.
Yeah, oh yeah. Stone Smart, baby.
Yeah,
Stone Smart. On Thursday night, if you're feeling frisky on a Thursday night, could be worth a look.
I mean, if you're in a pinch, right? And then, I mean, if you dare, Chig Okonkwo.
Oh yeah, Chig. Yeah, he had a good week last week. I'm seeing. Yeah, he gets.
Yeah, but it's also a good. That's
with Mason Rudolph. Yep. Yeah. Good matchup.
He's had in 2 seasons, right? Since he had his 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Chiggy Okonkwo, y'all. Yeah, he's another one to watch in deeper leagues.
Get Chiggy with it.
Yep, get Chiggy with it. Noah Gray, man. Noah Gray's just been consistently steady. Yeah, he's killing our Kelseys, but yeah,
and Kelsey got banked up too.
Yeah,
and I hate to say, but then that team 2, the team 2's chemistry shit's always real to me. And
if it's Carson Wentz and that kills Kelsey, it's gonna be Noah Gray all day. But hopefully they act like Mahomes practiced in full, so I would think it's gonna be Mahomes.
There you go.
Yeah, that's why Peacock was saying. He thinks the Chiefs lied about that. He thinks they lied, and that the NFL should look into that.
In my humble opinion, last week I said, in my humble opinion, I think it's either they have the most phenomenal power of black magic, or it's scripted for them no matter what. You know what I mean?
Oh man,
this is part of the script right here.
Yep. Oh man. Well, anyway, speaking of the script,
how much is the fine? And she just drops it. She has it in her purse, and Kelsey holds the purse too. Where's my purse at, babe? Oh, it's right here. Because he's like, he just listens to her. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like, how much is the fine, Patrick?
Yeah, she just pays it all for him. Yep. So it's all
Gold cash on the spot.
You know? Anyway, let's shift gears. Let's talk Saints. Hopefully the script writers will show us a little favors here. Well, hopefully they make us lose the rest of our games. I want a higher draft pick, damn it. Let's bring on our special Saints guest, y'all. Charlie Long of WWL Radio. What's good, Charlie?
How's it going, Spence? I'm good, man. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. Can't complain other than about the Saints, because boy, have they not giving us much good to talk about. Just I know you mentioned it earlier that you hoping that it's just they get as high draft pick as possible. So that's the reality, I'm guessing.
The issue is that if you look at the Saints schedule, obviously they're 13.5-point underdogs against Green Bay, and then they played just the completely hapless Raiders, which, by the way, guys, I saw this on Twitter earlier today. It's just like, if the Raiders would have won that game last night against the Falcons, they would have gone from the number 1 overall pick in the draft to number 7. So I'm sure a lot of Raiders fans are very happy that they, in fact, lost that game with Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, and I think Giants fans are really upset, because Giants would have been number 1 if somehow the Raiders had won that game.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into what I'm trying to say here with the Saints and how high up the draft positioning they can get. For one, I don't think they lose to the Raiders just because the Raiders are that bad. I mean, it's Brock Bowers. If you've seen the meme of like the gorgeous sports car in front of like a trailer home, that's exactly what you're looking at there. But,
facts.
It's a terrible team. I mean, it's just a team that you should expect the Saints to win. But outside of that, the Buccaneers are playing great football. They beat up on some cupcakes, but then all of a sudden they just smoked the Chargers, which was a surprise to, I think, a lot of people. So you play the Buccaneers in the finale, and you play Green Bay on the road this upcoming week. I think that's probably going to be 2 losses. So even if you get to 6-11, though, guys, this is the issue. There's so many bad teams in the NFL this year. Like 5-12 last year was what got the Chargers the 5th overall pick, for instance. Yeah. I think 5-12 this year maybe gets you like pick 7 or 8. Because so many teams that have 2 or 3 wins right now, with just a couple weeks remaining, and you don't really see many of them kind of leapfrogging and getting up to 5 or 6.
Yeah, you're right, man.
I mean, we're only about 3 or 4 weeks removed. I think we're about 3 weeks removed from like having 7 2-win teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's awful. I'm gonna pull up Tankathon real quick and just give you the exact numbers. It's my favorite thing for NFL draft stuff. Oh wait,
So I could pull it up on my screen real quick.
I mean, it's just like, because you have the Giants and the Raiders both with 2 wins, but then you have like a slot of like 5 teams with 3 wins, and so there's not many teams that you can really leapfrog hypothetically in the standings, even if you lose to the Raiders and finish 5-12, because you have New England at 3-11, Jacksonville, Carolina, Tennessee, Cleveland, all at 3-11, and then you have the Jets and Chicago both at 4-10. So it's just it's a nightmare for a lot of these teams in the NFL that are already looking to the draft.
I know, right? Yeah, it truly is crazy. And speaking of the draft, I feel like the Saints, if I'm the Saints, if assuming they get 10 or something like that, I think the wide receiver positions, the position they need to target, because, man, it has been a skeleton crew ever since Olave and Shaheed went down. It's just been – Marquez Valdes-Scantling's been a go-to target, and that's just not what you want.
No, he's been their wide receiver 1 for the past basically 4 weeks. And so I would agree. I think you go best player available, because there's so many holes on this team that you just go with the highest guy on your board.
Defense got old too.
What's up?
Defense only got older this past couple years.
Yeah, you need youth and speed on defense. They looked slow, guys. I don't know about what y'all saw, but they looked slow against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders this past week. Like Terry McLaurin was breaking out for busted coverages, but couldn't pull in those deep balls.
Yeah, they should have won. The Commanders should have won by a lot more than they did. Speaking of that game, Charlie, man, I don't think we've gotten to talk much about the game since it happened. Give me your thoughts on the ending, man, with the clock mishap and all that, man.
It's an
Have you ever
embarrassment.
seen anything like that before in an NFL game? I don't know if I have. That would have been something. And the national media would have been saying the Saints were the cheaters if they'd have won that.
That's weird.
My thoughts are it's an embarrassment. It really is.
Yeah,
like, there's
it really
no
was.
excuse for it. And
Yep.
so as far as the officiating goes, we talked with Coach Rizzi on Monday, and one of the first things that he said about it was that he's in favor of getting full-time officials. Like, he's tired of this. It's happening around the league, guys. It's not just,
how are they? How does an NFL, $1 billion corporation, not have full-time officials? That
I don't know if a lot of people know that. I mean, all these guys are part-time. They have other jobs. And so, like, if you get these guys, like, the confidence is really shining through. And I mean, yes, the Saints almost were complete benefits of it. I guess they were, because they scored the touchdown at the very end. It didn't end up mattering because they didn't get the 2-point conversion. But it was a clown show. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was ugly from the officials. And not just even that play, but, at the end of the third quarter with the field goal attempt, and they basically let the kicker for Washington get a free test at it. He missed it, but then he made it at the start of the fourth quarter. It was just, there were multiple mistakes from that officiating crew, and it was just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, my humble opinion, the issue is that they're not full time, and also the speed of the game has gotten so much to where it's like they need more like assistance. Like, they need either expand the crews or like have more replay, more AI assistance or something. Because, man, it's just to the point where humans just can't really do this job, job at
Elon will. I think Elon's on it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we already got the robot maids coming. Robot refs are in the works here.
Oh boy,
it's coming.
But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's talk potential Saints players at injuries here. It's looking like we'll start with Derek Carr, Charlie. Derek Carr, from what I'm hearing, is done for the season. Rap Sheet reported that the hand injury is going to keep him out for the year. Is that what you're hearing? And if so, do you think it's going to be Rattler the rest of the way?
If Carr misses the rest of the season, they will be Rattler the rest of the way, in my opinion. However, from everything that we keep hearing from Rizzi, they're not going to put him on the IR. They're not going to end his season. They said that it's aggressive to say that it's season ending. We'll just kind of have to see how it plays out. Obviously, Rattler's going to be the starter this upcoming weekend in Green Bay or on Monday Night Football. I don't think there's a question about that.
Poor kid.
Yeah,
that poor kid Hayner did that. But Rattler's going to be the one to really get thrown to him.
We'll break down the matchup with the Packers in just a minute here. But I'm not really ready to say that Carr's season is over, because the coaching staff refuses to say that as well. Rappaport's been riding that train, though, man. He's been coming out multiple times saying that Carr's season's over, like the hand is fractured in 2 different places. He's not ready for contact or anything like that. So, but as far as everything that we've heard from Coach Rizzi and the coaching staff is that it's aggressive to say that it's not necessarily over just yet. But at the same time, he's obviously, I don't think, playing this upcoming week on Monday Night Football. And I would probably doubt that he plays against the Raiders. So even if he does play again, you're maybe looking at him playing that finale at Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers.
What has he got on his hand when you guys see him just walking around and shit?
No, I mean, I haven't been at the practice facility, so I haven't seen him.
Everyone sees him.
A big old split there, some sort of cast, if I had to guess, if it's broken.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got it all wrapped up.
Some kind of glove, like, you know what I mean? Some kind of man glove that, like, just keep, because it's like a fracture only, right?
Yeah, it's a fracture in 2 separate places on his left hand, his non-throwing hand. So, it's not, it really shouldn't be a season-ending injury because it's not his throwing hand. But at the same time, he was also in concussion protocol last week, which I think went a little underreported, and that's part of the reason why he didn't play, because he didn't get any practices in last week, which you got to be able to do if you're in concussion protocol to be able to play. So it was a couple things that kept him out this past week, but I think that hand fracture, the coaching staff doesn't want to admit it, but I think it's a little bit more serious than they're letting on. He's obviously, once again, not playing on Monday night, and I would doubt that he probably plays next week against the Raiders. But this is a guy that loves to, try to fight through injuries and make returns as soon as possible.
Yeah, against the Raiders. He wants to come back for that. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. The revenge game against Vegas.
Yeah. The thing is, though, it's like, before we get to Kamara, that'll be the next question. The thing is, it's like, I think if the Saints get mathematically eliminated after Monday night, then I believe they'll put him on the IR, I would think.
Maybe. I mean, even then, like Loomis came on the Saints Saturday night with Mike Hoss, and he was saying all the right things, Spencer, that they're going to try and win every game they have remaining.
Of course.
That if they get to that
Freaking
8-9
Mickey.
record and
Crazy
tank their
Mickey
draft
Loomis.
position in, like we were just looking at.
Mickey Loomis.
Yep. Oh, Mickey. But anyway, let's talk Kamara, man. What are you hearing about Kamara? I heard it was a groin and not really sure yet, but what have you heard from the guys on the inside? What are they thinking about AK?
Yeah, groin injury is what we're looking at here. And, I've already benched him in my fantasy lineup. I'm not expecting him to play against the Packers. I think it's going to be the Kendra Miller show, which should be fun. I mean, we'll get kind of a look at the future because Kendra Miller, when he's played, has been solid. It's just been the availability with him and all the injuries that he suffered throughout his young career. As of now, I don't expect Kamara to play. We'll find out more. Their first practice, I think, is technically on Thursday with the different week with them playing on Monday night. So once the practice reports start coming out Thursday, Friday, even Saturday, we'll have kind of more knowledge about his practice availability. But Rizzy said it was a groin injury that he suffered on that touchdown that he caught against the Commanders, that great one-handed catch. He suffered the groin injury there. I don't think it's necessarily serious, but it might be something that holds him out for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, in the semifinals for a lot of our DJs out there.
Man,
Same here, man.
Yeah,
Same here.
Yeah, it's like, man, he's carried us, man, to where
I was
it's
texting Spencer. I was just like, okay, do I start like Garendo or Tracy over now Kamara sitting on my bench?
Yeah, at least you had some pretty good options. I feel like a lot of people don't have the luxury of having Garendo as a backup. But yeah, no problem, Alex. We got you, man. Best of luck if you have Kamara. If he plays, obviously you fire him up. If he doesn't, Kendra Miller is a good backup plan. And
it's something worth monitoring as the week progresses. Once again, like the practice reports are going to start coming out Thursday. If he's limited in practice at all this week, there might be a chance. But just as of now, from what I know, I'm expecting him to pick up some DMPs, and I think it's going to be the Kendra Miller show.
He's actually in a good spot. He's like, I'm going against Kamara and have top waiver. Well, then block your opponent and get Kendra Miller.
There you go.
And then stand up and take a bow.
Yep. Yeah. Do a happy dance. Do a jig, boy.
Because at the end of the day, like I was trying to make a case. Like I like that it's Rattler now, so I can make a case for Kendra Miller. You know what I mean? Because at least maybe they'll be able to get into some kind of scoring position here. Because even with the point total, I'm like, I'm not really expecting much from that side. But man, if we get a full workload, and they might even be without Clay Walker, so it might help a little bit for our Kendras. If you had David Montgomery or even Kamara, and you can fall back on a Kendra.
Yeah, Alex had lost Montgomery. Yep. So there you go. And speaking of another injured Saint, a big name, want to touch on before we break down the Monday night matchup. Chris Olave, Charlie, hearing anything about an Olave return? Is that
have not heard
possible?
anything about Olave just yet. That's been kind of the great unknown. I mean, he suffered that concussion against the Panthers, which felt like forever ago. And with it being his second concussion in the same season, it almost felt like they were just going to let him sit. And at this point, I think it's probably the smart thing to do. It's really scary when you take those big hits in the same season.
Yeah, that was brutal to watch.
Head injuries.
It's good for the organization too.
Yeah, especially because you're out of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once again, Spencer, you kind of mentioned it earlier. There's like a 1% chance that they make the playoffs, but so much has to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits, but once again, that's just my speculation. I don't know really anything about Olave just yet.
Heard that. And Bub Means, everything about Bub Means, if he could return off the IR.
He keeps picking up DMPs. I mean, if he practices this week, good to go. And we add another receiver to that room, another weapon. But because Bub Means has looked all right when he's played.
Yeah, he ain't been too bad, and he'd have ample opportunities for targets.
The hamstring, isn't it, with him? Like hamstrings are so tricky.
Yeah,
man.
I know. Yeah, that's what messing up Kendra Miller all that time.
Yeah, it's those soft tissue injuries. They're just pain in the ass. And so Bub Means is another one to monitor once those injury reports start coming out, later on in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I think I'd probably be more confident in him returning to practice than maybe Olave. But once again, that's just speculation for me.
For sure, man. So let's shift gears a little bit. We'll talk the matchup here. Packers, man, have a three-headed monster wide receiver. They're all healthy at this point. Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson. Saints secondary is beat up. Poles and Adebo out for the year. Marshawn Lattimore is gone. Kool-Aid McKinstry hit the turf last week late. I think he's questionable. Just how in the hell are the Saints going to stop the Green Bay receiving core? I mean, it's not like amazing, but it's good enough to where if the Saints secondary is as beat up as it seems, I think they're going to have trouble.
And you're starting with the receiving core. I mean, I'm looking at that, but I'm also looking
I didn't
at
even mention Josh Jacobs yet.
Josh Jacobs against this run defense has struggled all year. Spencer, I mean, if you're looking at the Saints, they're 27th in the NFL in rushing defense right now, allowing 134.4 yards per game. And they're going up against a complete bulldozer in Josh Jacobs, who's just been awesome, especially late in the season. It feels like he's a touchdown magnet. So for all you fantasy football people out there, I know, the playoffs are going on right now. Josh Jacobs has probably got you to the semis or whatever. He's done it to me a couple times. So
I love you, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is the man. And so you have to figure out how to stop him. And then, as you mentioned, kind of the three-headed monster that they got there. The wide receiver room for Green Bay is interesting because it's not really like any single one guy. Like there's no wide receiver one there, but it's a bunch of like twos and threes that are solid. You know what I mean?
Dontavian Wicks and Tucker
Kraft, exactly. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, as you mentioned. Dontavian Wicks.
Dobbs is pretty much the only one who had, like, when he's healthy, he's the only one that plays the most snaps out of all those receivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Watson kind of fits the mold as a true X, but at the same time, it's just like they got so many different weapons in the passing. And we're not even mentioning Tucker Kraft, who's been awesome this year as a tight end.
Yeah, he's been their floor play over there. He's been pretty consistent.
But
very consistent.
Though, it's when there's no Romeo Dobbs, then they've been going 12 personnel like 55% of the time. As soon as Dobbs comes back, Tucker's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of hurts Tucker. Yeah, so Dobbs.
It's kind of weird how that works out like that because he's the tight end. You know? It's like,
it's a strong passing attack, a really good rushing attack. Listen, man, there's a reason they're 13.5-point underdogs on Monday night in Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't mention the man that gets all that to cook, Jordan Love. I mean, Jordan Love is a kind of an underrated QB. I mean, when he's on, he's right up there with the best of them.
The key for him is that he's been limited in turnovers recently. Like, that was kind of the knock against him, I guess you would say, is that he was kind of careless with the ball. But recently, he's been awesome at limiting his turnovers. They've been really efficient in the passing attack. They've been a tough offense to stop. And, I mean, we all watched it on primetime just this past week. Seattle couldn't touch them. So, I mean, it's a scary, scary team. If you're looking right now at the betting odds from Vegas as far as the top teams to represent the NFC, I mean, it's the Lions and the Eagles atop the NFC, but then right behind them, it's Green Bay, and it's not Philadelphia. I mentioned them already. Minnesota, right there with them. So
Minnesota,
the NFC North, it's a house, man. Outside of the Bears, and the Bears are kind of a disaster.
Yeah, they've lost like 10 in a row.
The Lions are definitely going in the wrong direction as far as fortune goes because they're just getting decimated on defense. Left and right.
Sad.
The Eagles look like the favorite now.
They just lost Montgomery, who's probably like one of the keys when they get to this time of year and that cold and when
winter back
football games in January, you're gonna need someone like a Monty. You know what I mean?
Right. We talked with Mark Schlereth on the show today, and he mentioned that with all the injuries they suffered, especially on defense too. I mean, their defense is just ravaged. All the guys that are on IR right now. That Detroit, they're having such a magical season, but it's it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that they could be the third best team in that division behind, Green Bay and Minnesota, who are just playing great football right now.
Especially when because of the injuries. Dan Campbell, bro. Dan Campbell is a wild man, but like that onside kick with was 12 minutes in the game, something like that left.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's the man.
He's insane. Or even in the
he's a true mad scientist. Yeah.
Like the championship game against my Niners last year where they, to close that first half, they're poised to score another touchdown. It's a fourth down, and they're down there, I think within the 5-yard line. Then they opt to kick the field goal, and it's that came back to bite them in the ass later. I'm like, what? These are Dan Campbell things. So I think that's the one thing I would worry about. It's but they are having a very magical season, like you said, where it's they just can't do no wrong.
Throughout all the injuries, they're still up there as the 1 seed.
Yeah, facts. And then last one about this game before we move on to our humble opinions. The defense, man, Saints. The Saints going against the Packers defense is what I'm going to say. Going against them, who do you expect, Charlie, to step up for Rattler as far as the weapons?
It's tough. I mean,
you mentioned Kendrick Miller, but
yeah, like Kendrick Miller. It's going to be the Kendrick Miller game on the ground. But as far as pass catching weapons, I think you're once again, as you mentioned, Spencer. It's kind of a skeleton crew right now. You got MVS,
Juwan, man,
and you got your
Juwan
tight
Johnson.
ends. Juwan Johnson. Oh man, I put down to the table like that. The Saints need to actually spend draft capital and get a legitimate tight end. They've just avoided doing it for basically a decade at this point. It's so aggravating seeing all these good.
And then
good
tight ends. Yep. We tried Adam Troutman, drafted Adam Troutman, but that didn't pan out.
It's just like use a premium pick on a good tight end and have someone.
Yeah, Brock Bowers. Need a Brock Bowers, man.
Even like dating back to 2 years ago, right? Like that. I mean, they could have potentially gotten Sam Laporta, right? Or like Tucker Kraft, who we were just talking about. So it's been aggravating to see them just ignore an entire position on the football field. But if you're looking at the weapons on this team right now in the passing attack, like that's kind of what you're talking about. You're talking about Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You're talking about Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson. It's not the best crew for Spencer Rattler to be throwing to against a really, really good Green Bay Packers defense. I think the Packers defense is one of the more underrated stories of the year. Like I'm pretty sure they have about 8 or 9 former first-round picks on that defense, and they're playing outstanding football. Like, yes, the offense is really good, but if you're looking at just the stats in general, they're top 10 across the board in so many different categories. Like scoring offense, they're 7th with 27.1 points per game. Scoring defense, 8th, 19.1 points per game. Total
Xavier
offense,
McKinney.
4th. Rushing offense, 4th. Passing offense, 11th. Total defense, 10th. Rushing defense, 9th. Passing defense, 15th. This is a legit team. Like,
where they have the sack totals?
What's that?
Were they? I know they're up there in sacks as well, right?
Yeah, sack totals. I'll get the number for you in just a second.
I think Rashawn Gary. I'm guessing he's having a big year.
Because I saw some like they're up there in like pressure. I mean, they're up there in sack totals, and they're like one of the least in like blitzes and like the least in rushing for. I forget. It was something wild. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like,
yeah. So
they have. I can imagine they get a lot of sack coverages too, because they're a sack
coverage sacks. Yeah,
because they're their secondary has been pretty good even without Jair consistently in the lineup.
The Packers are tied for 7th in the NFL in total sacks with 40 right now.
Yeah,
so they're one of the few teams with above 40 sacks, joining teams like the Chargers, the Giants. Dexter Lawrence had that crazy start where he had like 9 sacks. The Vikings, who have a ton of sacks this year, Cowboys, Ravens, Texans, and the Broncos, who've
Broncos have been getting a ton. Yeah, Broncos have been crazy good on defense.
Right, quietly been one of the best defenses in the NFL all season long. So
I've got them in a few leagues where I still have to play team defense, and they've been carrying me, man. Shout out to Sean Payton.
And if you're looking for some kind of local flavor here, Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, I think he's from Covington. He went to Texas A&M, former second-round pick for Green Bay, and he's been fantastic for him. Like in that game against the Seahawks, he was all over the field. Very, very strong
him
linebacker.
And Quay Walker,
Yeah. So a little bit of local spice there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Covington stand up. Yeah, North Shore, man. So yeah, you got him a squad over there. Yeah, Green Bay's dangerous. Speaking of team defenses, we got a question from TS. He's saying Falcons, Bengals, or Bills team defense this week. Man, I kind of like the Falcons. I think it's the Giants, man. I forgot who Bills get New England. That's a pretty good matchup. Bengals, they suck though. I wouldn't want them. I'd say the Falcons and Bills. Bills sucked lately too, though. So yeah, give me the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Falcons because, oddly enough, I think in the first 10 weeks they had 10 sacks total, and then since the bye week, I think they've had like 13. They might have 13 like this past couple of weeks actually. So they've been turning up on the pass rush. You know what I mean? So against that bat, ever since no Andrew Thomas for that Giants line, they've been giving up sacks to the ass. Pause.
Yeah, the Falcons are at the bottom of the league in sacks again. It feels like that's the case every year. But if you're looking at potential turnovers, like there's a Giants team and like low points given up as well for defense, special teams. The Giants are miserable. It feels like they've just quit. And, I think, Spencer, we talked about this a few weeks back, is just, Brian Dable, I like him as a coach, but that team is just giving up on him. And it's very apparent.
The locker room.
I wouldn't mind playing the Falcons. If not the Falcons, maybe the Bills. As you mentioned, they have a pretty nice, matchup against the Patriots as well.
And Giants probably don't like him, huh? Remember when he was with the Bills? There was that footage of them in the little coaching box, and you couldn't hear the audio, but he's yelling as fuck, and he's cussing out he's cussing the team out because they messed up the play, whatever he called. And then Frazier, he's over there, and he knows there's a camera, and he just covers the camera. You know what I mean? Oh, like they got rid of Dayball after that year, actually.
Yeah, they did. He went to the Giants. He moved on. Yeah, and we got one from Phil up here. Brees or Ford this week?
Damn, this is where we're at. I mean,
this is where we're at. Yeah, this is where we're at with Brees. Yeah, I mean, it's like, who did they get this week? I want to say Brees. I feel like it's like Brees is just
Ford's not just going to get
the Rams.
We're going to get Ford there too.
I'd go Brees, man. I mean, Brees is one of those guys he's too talented to sit. If he's a go, I'm going Brees Hall, man.
We die with Brees.
I agree.
Because you would die if you didn't play Brees.
I'm looking up who the Jets are playing this week. I'm double checking. The Rams.
Rams
can give up points in bunches.
Like a high of like 23 degrees in the Meadowlands.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good for
running. And there is no. I mean, I think Braylon Allen got dinged up, and plus he's been pretty much surpassed by Isaiah Davis, and like that would be the one to monitor too. Because if there is no Brees Hall, Isaiah Davis might get like a fat workload. You know what I mean?
The Browns are playing the Bengals though. And that Bengals team is
that is true. They're giving up mad booty.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think it's a negative game script too for the Browns, which we would want for a Jerome Ford, because you know what I'm saying that he is the pass catching running back. So, yeah, you know what, we're going with Jerome and Rome, I guess.
You got like DTR leading that Browns offense too, so I would go with Brees.
I'm going Brees.
Brees is probably the safer pick. There's a little bit of more upside maybe with Ford against a terrible Bengals defense, but who knows what the Browns offense is even going to accomplish with DTR at the helm.
For real.
Agreed. But we're about to wrap this thing up. Guru Nation Power Hour, but before we do, feel like we got to each get a humble opinion in. So I'm going to play the little drop here courtesy of Peacock. And then we come back here after about 10 seconds. We'll each have a humble opinion for y'all. In my humble opinion, let's go. Oh yeah, we got to bring the heat, y'all. So I guess we'll let Bogey. You want to kick it off and give us a humble opinion?
Sure. You know what? I'm just gonna wing it here. And in my humble opinion, I think Carson Wentz is devastated because he's been waiting for him to write his own story so he comes through and steals all the shine while someone did all the work prior. You know what I mean?
It's like what happened. Yeah, Nick Foles. Yep, the Philly special.
You know I mean? Keep praying harder, Carson Wentz. Because in my humble opinion, it's like, in my humble opinion, and this is a callback to my last week's humble opinion, them Chiefs, they have very powerful black magic.
You gotta watch it.
Patrick Mahomes will never die. They'll just continue to win.
It's like Tom Brady, like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They had the evil black magic on their side.
The Emperor and Darth Vader himself.
He's now going to North Carolina. It's in my humble opinion, that was insane. But I'll just leave that at that because I want to give my main humble opinion here for the segment. Is the Vikings, man. I know they've been playing good, but I looked at their recent schedule and it's been pretty soft. So in my humble opinion, they're going to be in for a rude awakening because their past 7 games were the Colts, the Jags, the Titans, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Bears again. So in my humble opinion, the Vikings, man, they ain't going nowhere. I think Green Bay is the team that Detroit's got to worry about. And in my humble opinion, Vikings are fugazi.
The Vikings got the Seahawks on the road this upcoming week, and then they host the Packers, and then they go to Detroit to wrap up the season. It kind of screams to me like a 13-4 type of season is like a wild card team, maybe the 5 seed. If they lose to Green Bay, maybe they drop as far to the 6 potentially if Green Bay finishes the season really strong. So I would agree with that. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because those 2 NFC North teams, they're going to be on the road for that first round matchup against whoever wins the NFC South and the NFC West. But I think obviously if you're looking at the Vikings and the Packers playing potentially like the Rams and the Bucks, I don't know, man. I feel pretty good about the North.
Yeah, it is loaded. I think we can all agree that the NFC North's a loaded division, but
yeah, 100%. So Spencer, I'll get off my final take and then we'll wrap it up or whatever.
Right
I told
on,
you
bro.
this before we went on, and I think you mentioned it as well. The Michael Penix situation is ridiculous. Like, I've been hearing for a long time, the Boomer and Valenti show, Boomer Esiason's been talking about it. He's been hearing from reporters in Atlanta that Penix has just been tearing it up at practice.
Oh,
and that
wow.
He looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And so people in Atlanta have kind of maybe been expecting Penix to take over at some point. But I think just the way that Kirk Cousins been playing recently, Arthur Smith sees that the Falcons are 7-7, the Bucks are 8-6. Atlanta holds the tiebreaker because they swept them this season. And if you're looking at the final 3 games on the schedule, Atlanta plays the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers, and Tampa Bay plays the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Saints. It's going to be kind of a race to the finish line here. So I think it's an overreaction from Arthur Smith to say throw the kid
off the blank.
It's Arthur. Yeah, it's an overreaction by
not
Arthur
Blank
Smith
no more.
to throw not necessarily Kirk Cousins under the bus, but throw Michael Penix into the driver's seat, so to speak. And if you're looking at the future here, Adam Schefter's got a bunch about this, that the Falcons, if they were to cut Kirk Cousins after signing him to that $180 million contract, they'd have to have about $65 million in dead money next year. And if they trade him, they're still going to have $37.5 million dead money on the books as well. So, I mean, this is a brutal situation for Atlanta because, one of the benefits of having a rookie quarterback is that you got him on a rookie contract and you can kind of build a roster around him. But with all that dead money that they'll have to potentially, have on the books with Kirk Cousins moving on potentially this offseason, that's a tough pill to swallow for, I think, some Atlanta fans.
Oh, man, yeah, you talk about, man, between the Browns and Deshaun Watson and now the Falcons, or the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, like, what's the most toxic situation? The Browns and Deshaun Watson, the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, or the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. They're all vying to see which situation can be the ugliest.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many quarterback-needy teams. And this is also something we brought up, is that this upcoming draft's not very quarterback-heavy like it was last year.
No.
So Kirk Cousins is going to be playing somewhere next year. I don't think it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. If they decide Michael Penix is the dude, that he's their future, he's going to be the starter day one of 2025. Kirk Cousins is going to be playing somewhere else, but the Falcons, to the the delight of Saints fans, are going to have a ton of dead money because of moving on from Kirk Cousins.
And that's not an opinion. That's a fact, Jack. They're going to have a lot of dead money.
What's Boomer's personal opinion on Penix? Does he dig the kid?
I don't think Boomer's really seen him often. He's kind of going off of what he's heard from, the Atlanta folks that are talking to him about it. But, I mean, Michael Penix was a fun prospect to watch, man. The injuries that he suffered in Indiana before transferring to Washington and really revitalizing his career in college, and just watching him sling it in the Superdome last year at the Sugar Bowl against Texas. The dude's got a cannon attached to his left shoulder. He's a lot of fun to watch. I was texting Mike Detillier about this. It's just like when I'm watching, Michael Penix film from college, he throws it like a fastball, doesn't he? Like he's like a pitcher, like just like launching a fastball every time he throws a ball over the middle of the field. I really like watching Michael Penix, and I think he'll be a solid quarterback. But once again, in my humble opinion, I think this was an overreaction from Arthur Blank as a desperation move to try and throw the kid in and try and win this division.
Yeah, I think it's definitely screams of desperation. But
even worse if he goes out there and stinks up the joint. They're and they go, we got to go back to
kill the kid's confidence. Yeah, kill the kid's confidence.
They're totally handling this wrong. But
I'm with both of you.
And in my humble opinion, I guess here's my real one. In my humble opinion is man, next year we're gonna get one of the shittiest QB carousels retreads again. Like they're gonna
Tannehill might be back.
I mean, oh my god. Right?
Oh, it's gonna be stinky. Yeah, because you got teams like the Titans, the Raiders, the Giants that are absolutely desperate. The Jets, if Rodgers goes, the Falcons probably just go with Penix. But I mean, there's going to be a ton of teams. I mean, Stafford might up and retire for all we know. That'd be an opening.
If they win,
Saints might move on from Derek Carr. The Browns might move on from Watson. Like it could be the Tua. If he has another concussion, he might be out of there. It's crazy.
This would be the time for a lot of teams to just rip the Band-Aid off on some, like you said, like with the Browns with Watson. It's like, all right, you know what I mean? How much money are we going to lose here? All of it? How much do we pay him?
Like the Seinfeld episode with the Band-Aid. One motion, right off.
Yeah, like it's just, you know what I mean? Because while you still can salvage, you know, some of the other talent they have, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, the Jets, I feel like they're just going to have Rodgers one more again.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
yo, you talking about toxic. Oh,
like Jesus. Adams, Rodgers, they're going to run it back one more time.
Oh, God. Who's going to want to coach those goobers? They're like, who are they going to get for a coach? Like, who's going to want to coach a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers? I know I wouldn't. That sounds like a nightmare, man. Just tell Rodgers, all right, you go coach. You be your own coach. I make Nathaniel Hackett the acting head coach. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think they could put a ball on this one, fellas. We actually had a couple questions I can get to them real quick for Philip and Alex. Philip saying, what's Kendra worth in Dynasty? I mean, I would say like he's probably worth about like a third, you know, if you're talking draft pick, you know, like value, because I mean, I still think Kamara is going to be around next year, but I think he could have a role with the Saints. So I think he's worth a little something in Dynasty. Don't you think, Charlie?
Yeah, Kamara is going to be back at least next year, if not the next couple of years. So, you know, don't go overboard and give up like a first or a second round pick for him. But I think a third round pick is probably, you know, on the money, Spencer. I think that's a good kind of shout out from you.
Good deal. And y'all think Penix will be good for London? I don't think it's going to affect London one way or another too much. You know, London was still doing okay, even though Kirk Cousins had completely lost his chain, got his chain snatched these past few weeks. So I think Penix maybe could be better, but it might lead to London being maybe a little more volatile, maybe more upside, but I don't know. He might not be quite as steady. Especially with Kirk Cousins, London would always get at least like 5 for 50, where with Penix, you know, he might have a blow-up game or two, but he also might be prone to a stinker.
Yeah, he was pretty consistently getting you 10 to 15 points in PPR. I know he had like a couple games in there as well where he just blew up for like 30. But with Drake London, I'll be starting him this week in my Dynasty Superflex PPR League semifinals. So, you know, I'm hoping that that Penix slings it around the yard a little bit because I think, you know, they also need some juice in the passing attack. So while I do think it was an overreaction from Arthur Blank, just seeing how bad Kirk Cousins looked against a terrible Raiders team that's, you know, let's be honest, they're looking ahead to Shadur Sanders in the draft in April. They're not even talking about winning games.
Yeah, they shut down Max Crosby. That's a sign. Yeah, they're shutting it down.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the fact that Kirk didn't light up that team, it's not a good sign. So maybe Penix can come in. It's a little bit volatile, but if he comes in, he really lights it up. He looks great at the end of the season. Drake London could potentially win you some fantasy championships.
Right on. Yeah, it's a good matchup. So yeah, I think that's about going to do it for us, man. Appreciate Bogey and Charlie and all the listeners. This is a fun power hour, man. We've been powering on through, man. Almost through to the fantasy championship week. Got the semis this week, y'all. Let's keep it going, and we just have a couple more weeks to go, and hopefully we'll be hoisting some damn trophies.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, all right, fellas. Any last words before we sign off?
Universe, give me money.
I'm taking the 13.5 with the Packers, guys. I just don't feel good.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah. I did pick 6 with the boys today. I got it written down. It's in stone. Mike, Bobby, and I all have Green Bay minus 13.5. Steve's the only one that's taking the Saints plus the points. So it feels like maybe a 28-10 type of game, but we'll see.
Yep. Well, good deal, y'all. Well, that was a fun episode. We'll be back next Tuesday. See what other crazy stuff happens. But until then, it's been the Guru Nation Power Hour. Appreciate Charlie and Bogey. We'll be back, y'all. Peace.